Happy Thursday. This is our June LTPT monthly meeting. Um, I hope everyone's had a great week. Our office has been very, very busy. Last week, we traveled for the Bee Challenge workshops, started in Tallahassee, ended in Polk County. So it was a very great trip, great to meet a lot of ISPs, LTPTs, just a lot of people all over the state who are really interested in the Bee Challenge process. But to start it off, we are going to talk about the Broadband Summit panel and then also the office offering to pay for a one team rep. But first, we have got it authorized that we will be having an LTPT panel on the agenda for the Broadband Summit. We're very excited about this. We have 5 LTPTs who will be joining us to discuss, best practices, the challenges that they've endured, how they've been able to be successful in their LTPTs, what their strategies are, what their plans are to further adapt to, broadband changing every single day. And so we're very excited about that. Trying to think what else to mention. Yes, so I said that there will be 5, but overall, I think it'll be a great experience for everyone who attends. I think it's a great way for y'all to network with one another, but then also just get different perspectives of, those who might be from rural counties and then also those from the very urban areas as well to just share, your experiences and really get to connect with one another. And then on to the paid team representative. I know we've talked about this a lot in the past few months. I have sent out an email to all LTPT leads to please notify me if you would like to attend the summit because the office will be paying for one member. The only thing is that if you have a county commissioner who's a part of your team and you want to submit them, we are not allowed to pay for them because we are not allowed to pay for elected officials. That does not mean they cannot attend the summit. They're more than welcome, but they cannot be that one team member that we pay for. Um, right now, looking at my list, I only have 15 LTPTs who have responded to me. So if y'all could get back to me, I think we are cutting off that deadline to notify me if you will be attending by the end of June. I think to be more specific, Sean and I have discussed I think the cutoff will be June 27th to notify me, just because we have to create a block room at the hotel. So please let me know as soon as possible. It's really simple information. It's just your name, title, email address, and your phone number. Really, really easy. Another thing that we are doing this year is that if you are attending and we're paying for your room, we are asking you to put the room that you will be staying in on your card. Obviously, it'll not be charged because we'll be covering it. The only reason why we're asking this is because last summit we had a few LTPTs who said that they were going to come. They did not show up. So the state had to end up paying for about 7 to 8 additional hotel rooms where people did not come and stay at. So we're just doing that to be accountable, but also to make sure that our funds are going towards the right things. And so that is another clarification. If you have any other questions about that, please let me know. Um, so that will be another thing, just a reminder, you'll just have to put your card down at the hotel, but that does not mean you'll be paying for the room. Once the summit is over, our office will obviously take that over and put the payment on our card or something like that. So yes, please let me know by next week's already the last week of June if you'll be attending the summit for your one rep. We really do encourage all members to attend. It's just a great atmosphere and event to be a part of. And then another detail is that we will also have another cutoff at the end of July for those if there is a change in someone who is attending the summit from an LTPT team. If y'all elect a lead and that lead cannot end up coming and you elect someone else, please just let me know and that'll just be an easy fix. But that will also be probably cut off by July 27th. So we'll give y'all another month just in case if anything changes. Right now, also for the summit, We are looking at to have it September 11th through the 13th at the Orlando Renaissance SeaWorld. Again, that technically has not been authorized, but that is what we're really looking at right now. Once that information is approved by leadership, um, the broadband office will get that information out as soon as possible. And I think for right now, that is all I really have regarding the broadband summit. If y'all have any more questions or concerns about it, you can ask me probably at the end of the meeting if that works as well. So for that right now, I'll send it over to Sean to talk about the BEAD initial proposal volume one approval.
Thank you, Erin. Good morning, everybody. Glad to see so many people on today. This is really encouraging. Wanted to share this update with everybody. Let me share my screen. On May 21st, the office had our volume one approved, and you can find that on our website, www.floridajobs.org/broadband. You can scroll down the page, hit BEAD program, and you can scroll down and you can see the approved volume one right here. When you click it, it will open up to the actual document. What that document does is it lays out the state's priorities for funding. It discusses existing broadband deployment projects, such as Broadband Opportunity Program, the Broadband Infrastructure Program, and also talks about the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund, RDOF. The volume one also describes our data processes and mapping methodologies, explains the state's challenge process. It's actually this document that authorized us to move forward with our challenge process and allowed us to kick off with those workshops that Erin just talked about. And it also identifies the state's community anchor institutions and does quite a bit more. So all of that information is available right on our website right here. We really encourage everyone to take a look at that and read through that document. We get calls from people all the time asking about what the state of Florida's plans are, and it's really succinctly put in this volume one. So we really encourage all of our partners, all of our teams, all of the ISPs and other vendors, anyone who's interested in doing business with the state of Florida, to really take the time to go through that document. It's really fantastic. I'll also point out that we've got some other resources here on this BEAD page. You will be able to pull down the slide deck from our workshops. And you can also listen to the recording of the workshop that we did on Monday. So there are a number of really fantastic resources right there on our site. So we really want folks to take advantage of that. And I will toss that back over to Erin.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sean.
Mhm.
We will get back to. Okay. So next on the agenda, we will follow up with the Beach Challenge workshops and the webinar wrap up, just like Sean mentioned. We think that the Beach Challenge workshops were very successful. We started out in Tallahassee, then went to Alachua, Lake County, oh wait, Marion County, then Lake County, and then Polk County. I believe we probably had about 20 to 15 participants every workshop. We had a lot of ISPs, a few LTPTs there as well. So it was just a great way to connect with everyone throughout the state. We had Sean, our director, Josh Hoadley, who's our GIS coordinator, and then Brooke as our communications liaison there as well. And we really just talked through about the whole process. We went through the PowerPoint, and then Josh Hoadley, who was really the star of the show, really went through the challenge process and talked about it in a really great way. So I really hope it was very informative for a lot of people that attended. Um, it's going to be a very quick process. We are hoping to have the challenge process released more than likely by the very beginning of July, probably after the 4th of July holiday. It's going to be a very quick turnaround for how quickly you have to do it. But if you have any questions, I know our office is obviously very open to helping everyone who's having trouble through the process because we know it's very new and challenging as well. And then this past Monday, myself, our director, Leo Garcia, and then another colleague who's our policy analyst coordinator, Jacob, we were a part of the webinar to record the Bee Challenge workshop process. We believe that that was very successful as well. I think we had over 100 attendees appear on the live version. So we hope that that is a great resource for everyone to use. Just like Sean mentioned, that is posted on our Florida Commerce YouTube page. All you have to do is just type in Florida Commerce YouTube and go to the most updated recent videos, and it should be up there. But that also is just a video of us going over the PowerPoint, and then Joshua Holdley is also on it discussing the challenge process as well. I think it'll be a great resource for you to use just because if you have any questions, you can go back, look through it as many times as you want. Um, so I think other than that, we are really appreciative of the LTPTs who worked with us to find facilities and really were there to help us through that process. So thank you to the LTPTs from Alachua, Marion, Lake, and Polk County. Y'all were the best and really, really helpful during that process. We really couldn't have done it without y'all. Um, so I think other than that, unless Sean has any other comments for the Bees
Actually,
Challenge workshops. Oh,
actually, I wanted to see if Josh Hoadley had anything that he wanted to share here about the challenge process. I know Josh is on with us. Josh, did you have anything that you wanted to add
For this
about the
group's,
challenge process?
yeah, it's probably a good spot to put it before Bob starts going over mapping updates. For this group specifically, LTPTs are a very interesting kind of entity within our process, and the fact that they have to work through an eligible challenger because them themselves are not an eligible challenger. By not being an eligible challenger, not being a kind of an established entity, you guys can't get an FRN. Someone on the county, if you have a county kind of representative on your LTPT, they can get it under the county, but not under the LTPT itself. So some people that work strictly out of LTPT kind of land will have to either coordinate with a county, but if the engagement and things aren't there, then we kind of make it a little difficult. For that reason, we have kind of developed some mapping materials that we're planning to hopefully push out in the next week or so that will be geared for LTPTs. Essentially, it's the same exact foundational data set we use for the B challenge process minus location IDs. So you wouldn't be breaching that confidential CostQuest data license agreement that you cannot view location IDs alongside addresses, alongside other information. Um, the challenge process does have that address driven process inside of it, so you don't need location IDs, but it's also a way maybe just to see kind of a footprint of your county, what it looks like, and more importantly, we're trying to get a way that we can extract data out of that map so that you can submit challenges or get that information over to other eligible challengers. Basically, it'll help it when Josh calls maybe an LTPT member and says, "Hey, my house, they say they serve my house, but they don't," which would fall under availability type challenge. You guys can go an authoritative data set, a map, go type in my address on this data set, say, hey, 123 Main Street, we see, and I can actually, we're helping. I hope you don't mind, Mr. Dave. But for Escambia County, we are kind of doing something right now, but it'd be a map very similar to this. Michael Sawinski has kind of developed this within our office. Um, but it would allow you to be able to type in, let's say this is 123 Main Street, you'd be able to click it and you'd be able to see exactly that we are unserved, so we would be beat eligible. But maybe I was served. You'd be able to see that we're served, and that would be an availability type challenge. It'll allow you to give information to the public and kind of deem what public calls need to be turned into challenges or what public calls need to be maybe more educated. So I plan to release something very similar to this. That's just the BSL fabric data minus the BSL locations that kind of just has some information that gives you guys a little bit more power within the realms of not having a CostQuest license and not having to fully cooperate maybe with eligible challengers on the board. So on that note, we are going to release Survey 123, GIS Survey 123. It will give you an account and a username, very similar to how we're going to operate the challenge process account and usernames. You guys will be in a special group. More or less, you won't be able to see certain things that eligible challengers can see, namely location ID data sets, but you'll be able to see data sets like this that are basically the same minus location ID. In addition, your accounts will persist beyond the challenge process. And hopefully we'll be able to give you guys some more hub experience type stuff, maybe some open discussion boards, maybe just some extra tools you want. And with that, I can kind of pass it back to Erin to maybe talk about that to get some feedback from you, how she would like to communicate it. But that's very broad level of kind of what we're trying to provide for the LTPT specifically during the challenge process. So be on the lookout for that email. And feel free to send messages in Teams and I'll answer them throughout this kind of LTPT call. But I'll pass it back to Erin.
Thank you, Josh. Yes, so y'all please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us at the office. We're here for y'all. We're here to advocate for y'all at the state level. Um, Josh, Bob, Michael, who really do our mapping, GIS, they're a great team. They're really efficient about getting back to you as soon as they can. So please reach out to them or me if you need their contact information during this process. So now we will pass it over to Bob Gitson, who is our main mapping guy here in the office, and he'll provide a mapping update for BEAD.
Thank you, Erin. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to put a link in the chat to our public grant portal, and everything that we can possibly put in there, we'll put in there. Some of this stuff I want to try to have by later today or tomorrow. And let me, Erin, if you stop sharing, I can share my screen. And this is what you will see. This is the bead. Let me not move it. This will be the bead eligible. Can you all see that? Okay, so what we've done here is we've taken all of the eligible locations, and those eligible locations are either unserved or underserved or DSL modifications that are not covered by a broadband opportunity grant, a RDOF grant, an ACAM grant, a CPF grant. In other words, they've got no funding. These are all unfunded locations. And we've done this. Let me see if I can put a legend up there. That'll help. These are all done by the number of eligible locations within each census block group, which is probably how we are going to do the BEAD challenge, or the BEAD challenge areas and the BEAD award areas. And it's really kind of, most of y'all are familiar with the ArcGIS online interface, and this is what you will see. And let's stop picking on Escambia County, and we'll pick on Jefferson County today. So when you click on a block group for Jefferson County, you're going to see all of this information here, all the locations. These are all within the block group. Block group is about 10 to 15 census blocks, depending on the population and the density. They're pretty spread out in some of the rural areas. And what we've also done is we've included all of the providers that are within that particular block group. So for instance, in this particular block group, you've got Verizon that covers 161 locations, of which they are saying 60 are served. Their transmission technology, we're going to have to look at changing the numbers to what they actually are. Transmission technology 71 is licensed fixed wireless.
Bob, can you zoom in a little bit? There's a request. Sure. Yeah.
And obviously, as we get closer in here, you're going to see more detail. If you don't like this particular base map, you can change it within the interface. So don't worry if you don't like the human geography. we get up here towards Monticello and we can really start zooming in and we can see the streets and stuff. So when we click on this particular, you see how it highlights the block group and the areas within it. And then these are, again, all the providers that are providing service within that particular block group. And it'll say what type of transmission technology they have, the number of locations covered, and that sort of thing. So this is a nice tool to at least kind of see where you stand in terms of how many locations that are going to be BEAD eligible, and sort of kind of where they are in terms of um, a general area. Block group, it can be pretty tight. If we zoom out and let's go down here to, oh, yeah, let's go right in here to Coral Springs. Now you can see that this block group, particularly right here, is really not that big geography wise. Now, let's see how many broadband serviceable locations there are in there. 331 locations. So inside of this little block, you've got 331 total locations, of which 108 are grant eligible. So it also, and the providers can have access to this too. It's all on the public side. So they can look at this and go, oh, this area here looks like it might be, have, an opportunity to do some good grant work in there. So again, all of this is subject to change. We are using version 4 of the FCC fabric with the broadband collection data as of May 14th of this year. This is the same basic data set that we will be using for the BEAD challenge process. So there should be no differences. If there are, then something's wrong. So that's
Bob,
yes.
Bob, has this been bumped up against, there are ISPs that serve like gated communities who are not reporting to the FCC mapping? Have we looked at some of those types of providers?
I would be unaware of those. We're using the FCC data, and everything on this whole challenge process and the BEAD process is based on the FCC Fabric ID. If there are areas that are not showing up on these maps because of whatever reason, the FCC challenge process is the place to go through there. On the FCC map, you can challenge. I'm not sure if they have a bulk challenge available anymore,
That's
but
the problem. Yeah.
but each location can be challenged on an individual basis. The office cannot make modifications to the broadband serviceable location fabric. That's up to the FCC and CostQuest to implement those changes. And we are, it's what we've got. It is what it
Yep.
is. All of
No, it's
the,
helpful.
yeah, I mean, all of the allocations, all the funding was based on the FCC broadband maps. So that's kind of where we're going with it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Hopefully it's a fairly easy interface and to navigate with. There's some helpful information in there. This information will also be downloadable. We'll have it as a feature layer that you can drop into a map and put out whatever information you need. So it's hopefully with the GIS folks like I don't know if Ethan's on here from Alachua, but he's done a lot of good stuff along this line, and I'm sure that can enhance whatever it is they've done on a county level or even more detailed. And that's really all I've got. And again, the interface may change along the way. We may put it into an experience builder, which will allow you to see a little bit more detailed information in a different type of presentation. So without any further questions, it's back to Aaron.
Thank you, Bob. Now we will get back to the agenda. Okay, now we will go over the LCPT digital adoption and use project ideas. If Sean would like to take away on this one first,
Sure.
you can go ahead, Sean. Thank you.
Happy to. Thank you. The state has submitted its application for the $74 million for the Digital Equity Capacity Grant. And we are really encouraging all of our communities to really have some in-depth discussions with your local partners about some of the things that you see as priorities in terms of digital adoption and use activities. I know that there has been a tremendous interest in things like digital navigators. There are many other things that can be done with that funding. So we really want you to be thinking about and having conversations with your community partners, your school systems, your medical communities, your employers, your career source partners, all the different people who can really interact with that whole sector. We really want you to be thinking about what are the priorities for your community, because every community has different needs. Even within a single city, I've seen an example of a large city we have here in the state where I had multiple conversations with different nonprofit groups, and they had really competing interests and priorities. So now is the time to bring all of those people to the table to talk about what things that folks are presently doing, so that maybe you can cut down on duplication of efforts and create some efficiencies and create opportunities for maybe some of those organizations to work together collaboratively. I think there are a lot of opportunities that we miss when people aren't talking. Um, that's one of the reasons I really enjoy these calls. We have people sharing some of the wonderful things that they're doing and sharing those examples with other LTPTs so that they can bring those ideas back to their communities and have those conversations. So beyond the things that we've already talked about, are there things in your communities that you've seen would be really high priorities for you in terms of what you'd like to see done with that funding? Feel free to unmute yourself and let's talk about it. Everyone's quiet this morning.
Scott Phillips. Can you hear me?
Yes. Good morning.
Yeah. I was wondering, as far as the high priority is, as far as the SCADA control systems for rural water systems and wastewater systems, is that being included as far as a high priority that would really help certain areas, you know, be focused on, you know, at an earlier date, just because of the safety that the SCADA system would provide with a better broadband service in that area. Like the town of Lee, for instance, just using them for an example, but I interact with so many different little small towns. That's a very big issue as far as like their station overflows into the Swanee River and places like that. But that's where the benefits of the broadband would really help out in certain areas. Just want to make sure that's being included as far as a high priority.
Well, I'm actually glad you brought that up, because we actually had a conversation this past week while we were on the road, talking about some of the facilities like that you mentioned, and some of the community anchor institutions. The way that the BEAD program language is worded is that for the community anchor institutions to be a target for funding, they have to promote the use of broadband. So the types of facilities that you're talking about cannot be primary targets for the funding, although some of them may end up being gaining access simply by default by being in areas where we are serving passings in a residential area. So they won't be a primary target because that's not what this funding was really designed for, but they may end up being kind of a side benefit. Now, there are community anchor institutions that would qualify as eligible for funding. They won't be a priority because the priorities for BEAD are unserved and underserved first, and then things the non-deployment things like digital adoption and use, workforce development, and things like that. But I'll give you an example of community anchor institutions that could be funded. So we're talking about schools and libraries that we know actually do promote the use of broadband. So they have to kind of meet that qualifier to really step into that category of being eligible for funding. But that's a really good question, and we actually had that very question a week or two ago, where a county was interested in funding for water treatment facilities. So that's when that came up, and we got the clarification on that they would have to promote the use of broadband services. So yeah, BEAD really was not intended for that.
Okay, I just wanted to mention that it's kind of like there in Liberty County, the Sumatra area. It's in yellow, your map there. My main focus was my kids, with the school, having to do school from work, from home and places like that. But I want to make sure that just because that's the primary, for my district right there, it definitely is going to help the same families ensure their water system in that area. With that, right now we got a very, very limited cell service, and that would just it would help us out as far as EMS and law enforcement, plus the water system and the school system. So that's what I was bringing that up about, making sure
Gotcha.
there wasn't anything extra I would need to bring up specifically for that particular system. But at the same time, if the city of Gretna had issues, a lot of times I can help those cities understand the need and the benefit to help speak for the citizens, the school, because it's going to help them as well.
Mm-hmm. And there may be some other funding opportunities, not through our office, but I can think of there may be an opportunity through USDA Reconnect. I'd have to do a little research, but let me follow up with you and see if I can't find some funding to meet that specific need. I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay, thank you.
So I will follow up with you on that.
Yeah,
Any other thoughts?
I have quarterly meetings with USDA, so if we need to sit down at a meeting and discuss things, I'd be really interested in that, because not only helping my county, I could help the other rural counties, throughout North Florida as well. But thank you.
And there may also be some other opportunities. Possibly USDA has the community facilities program. There may be a way that we can work with that. So I will look into that.
Good morning, Sean. David Collins, the Harris Foundation. I'll chime in. The digital equity capacity grant you're talking about,
Yes.
and digital adoption. I say we continue to keep going down the path we're going down in Orange County. We've had great success in medical, workforce development, digital literacy, ESOL, obviously healthcare, seniors, things like that. We haven't done much in the public school arena yet. So that's kind of a new category. But partnering with our friends at Career Source, no, I think it's just continuation of our nonprofit friends in the community to uncover those in need so that we can put these programs in place, because it's working nicely, compounding in the digital literacy component of it, whatever that may be, right? There's something different for seniors as there's something different for youth. And then obviously ESOL is a whole nother bucket, but great success working with our nonprofit friends here in Orange County. The schools would be something new because we haven't really done much collaboration with the public school system in regards to supporting students. So that's something new.
I will
Great.
add though, David, thank you so much. This is Simone. Hi team, good morning. We are engaging with Orange County Public Schools on a workforce initiative. So we are definitely engaging in pockets, and I can describe that in a little bit more detail, but right now the scope's being defined. So from literacy to support workforce based on an opportunity and a grant that was provided to us previously as an extension for workforce.
Fantastic. Orange County is doing some great things. Great things.
Thank you so much. We have a great team, so I will support that by saying we do have an excellent team. You know, the success of anything is the team's efforts.
See, and I look forward to hearing lots of that shared at the summit, because you guys are doing some amazing things. David, let me ask you a question. In working with the organizations that you're working with, are you finding any kind of overlap where organizations don't realize that they're duplicating their efforts, either by geography or target populations?
Not yet, because we work very collaboratively with them to specifically, vet those in need with device deployment. So we haven't seen any overlap. I doubt we'll see that in the medical space. For example, Grace Medical, Orange Blossom, Shepherd's Hope here in Orange County, because those patients kind of stay within that organization. So as those are all underneath that medical umbrella, we haven't seen any overlap yet. Now, through community centers, you kind of have people that gravitate towards different community centers based upon geography where they are. People don't travel that far to other community centers, so haven't seen much overlap there. Maybe we may see something in the future where people are trying to do workforce development. Is it resume? Is it interviewing? Things like that, because there are similar programs in different counties. United Against Poverty in Orange County, the Sharing Center, their Project Ride in Seminole County do similar things, but you don't see constituents going through programs in different counties. I guess I should say that.
Okay.
Can I also add to that, if it's okay?
Yes, please.
So David's absolutely correct. We avoid overlap in terms of the programs by doing extensive surveys to understand the need. Now, every nonprofit community organization, whether that's Orange County's community centers, our corrections departments, family services, which have a wide net to be cast, for example, versus other nonprofits like healthcare organizations and others, right, have different identified use cases. And when we do have those conversations and documenting the like, we do ask those specific questions so we can understand overall how we're appropriating the use of the dollars and also the use of the devices, and also identifying a plan for, well, how long are these devices going to do? And areas in their normal business practices have a plan to keep track of this with security and everything else. Now, we do recognize when it comes to internal county and the shared resources at our various community centers and different processes, there may be some overlaps, right? So we're looking at it from devices that remain at the community centers where folks that don't need a device, but they're already there at the community center, just need a device to plug in, for example, to look for jobs or, join a class or do a telehealth appointment, for example, right? Some of those retain and remain at the community centers, while some of them actually get loaned out. For the ones that remain at the community centers, we have some that are appropriated or defined for mental health, or some that are just appropriated and defined for general use. So we are tracking that. So from an overlap, we have overlap, but we know why, who, and that is an intentional process to allow for all aspects of needs within the community. I hope that's helpful.
That's very helpful. That's great. What about people who are providing digital skills training? Are we seeing folks crossing streams?
We are doing some of that outside of broadband funding, and we are identifying based on needs a plan to address that countywide. And some of that will include the devices program, literacy, and sprinkles of multi-language ESOL programs based on the demand.
Excellent, excellent. Because I really want, I want us to share when we have those examples of communities who are identifying these things and have worked through how to navigate that duplication. I'd love to have more sharing between the teams. I think that that's a great benefit for folks who are at different stages of kind of figuring all of this out. So once again, I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to hear these discussions when we get to the summit, because I think having everybody in one room to talk about this stuff is going to be fantastic. Any other thoughts, comments, ideas on digital adoption and use? Things you've seen that you think should be replicated? Things you've heard from your community members that they really want, that they haven't been able to identify as being available in their community? Or are there? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know from an Orange County perspective, we had a really great call with Polk County, and they shared with us some of their lessons learned. And we had a one-on-one touch point, right? What inspired this? What was the outcome? What might be your next steps? And we kind of shared collaboratively with them what our next steps are. And I think, by one call, we're able to bounce ideas off. So I'm wondering, even beyond some of this, if we can start encouraging each other so we have the streamlined approach, because I believe that when we're trying to get the message across around the programs, it's one thing to really, do awareness campaigns, flyers, and get the awareness out maybe through county commission, town hall meetings, maybe. But it's also good to say, well, are we reaching the right audience at the right time? And getting some of that feedback going, lessons learned is super important. So I think we should probably start thinking about, as we're working towards a statewide initiative, bringing some of those issues maybe in a platform, and what some of those success stories are. And I know you're opening up some of that here, but I'm really looking forward to that summit to really engage one-on-one, ask the right questions, and people can spark conversation that way. I think it's super important. So thank you for all that you're doing towards this.
Thank you. This is what all of this is for. It's to benefit all of these teams and benefit all these communities. And I would hate for one team to have to reinvent the wheel when someone else has already kind of blazed that path. So thank you both for answering those questions and speaking up there. Are there any other folks who'd like to talk about digital adoption before we move on? Okay, Erin, back to you.
Okay, Sean, I'll hand it right back over to you to discuss any other broadband program status.
Are we playing pickleball here, Erin? Back and forth? Sure. Let's see, we mentioned digital equity capacity, BEAD. We are looking at BEAD opening up probably at the beginning of 2025, possibly late this year, but more likely the beginning of 2025. We have our earlier programs are underway: Broadband Opportunity Program, Broadband Infrastructure Program, Multipurpose Community Facilities Program, So we've got a lot of different parts moving right now. But that's kind of where we are with all of those programs. Still kind of holding on, making some more announcements on the digital capacity technology program grants. That is forthcoming, and that's where we are right now.
Okay, thank you, Sean, for the update. And now we will hand it over to the local team leaders to provide any LTPT team reports.
This is Ethan Long with Alachua County. So kind of got ours back up and running. So LTPT kind of stagnated there for a bit, but we got had our first big meeting last month, and have one next week. Just kind of getting everybody back together. We have some new ISPs in town, putting down fiber. So that's kind of a big deal, getting their connections, and getting everyone kind of talking and sharing information, and that especially everyone knowing about the broadband challenge coming up. So or the Beats challenge coming up. So that's such a big deal, getting all that data correct. So mainly doing that, and then kind of fitting in our own grant program, which is interesting. So getting all that all together is just kind of been a big challenge. But Miami-Dade, they definitely helped out with some kind of, because they've been doing their LTPT's been a little more together for a while. So some of their tips and tricks and their meetings have been great to see, and so many people show up to them. So that's been a great LTPT to see. So kind of just taking steps and trying to get as much done before the challenge program and then before the summit.
Great, thank you, Ethan. Any other teams? Successes, challenges, questions? I know we've got a couple of teams who are doing some reorganization and are looking for a little assistance, and we are happy to come and visit with you and happy to help you get your meetings restarted. Please just reach out to Aaron, and we'll be there. We are here to support you. So if there are any requests, please reach out to us.
Okay, well, if there aren't any other reports, we'll wrap it up a little early today. So our next meeting will be July 18th, the usual 10:30 to 12. We will probably, have more updates about the summit. Potentially, hopefully the B challenge process will keep moving along. So hopefully, if y'all haven't, please subscribe to our website, email. It's a great way to keep to be updated from the office. It's a really great resource. So if you haven't, please subscribe to it. And I think that is all for oh, Sean has it up there. Oh, thank you, Dave, for that comment. But yes, just like Sean reiterated, we are here for y'all. So if you have any questions or concerns, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. But other than that, I hope y'all have a great rest of your day, and we'll see y'all in July.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good one.